If you've ever felt trapped in life by your job, your city, your family, your health, or even your own thoughts, this conversation is really going to hit home for you. So stay tuned because we're sharing exactly how we walked away from the life that we knew and why everything finally made sense afterwards. Stay with us. Y'all ready to get started?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Welcome to the InnerJoy Podcast. Let's
So
kick it. Today. Go ahead.
We're going to talk about from stuck to starting over. This is a podcast that allows us to introduce ourselves and let you hear some of the decisions that we made in the past few years and why we made them, and how these decisions helped us to find our inner joy. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Lisa, and would love for you to share your experience.
Absolutely. So I am currently living in Cuenca, Ecuador. And how I got here was in March of 2019, I got diagnosed with lupus. And exactly 1 year later, COVID hit. And I was living in New York. And with everything shut down and the restrictions that the mayor was placing on New York City, I was like, I got to get up out of here. So I wanted to go to Bali, but Bali required that you had to have the COVID vaccine, and I absolutely was not about to get it. So my quick escape was to Florida, Daytona Beach, Florida. And Florida was wide open. So that was a shock when I got there. When I got to Florida, at that point, I'm working remotely, and I decided I was never going to walk into anybody's job ever again. And I had a side business that I was doing. The following year, I decided, no, actually, not the following year. In 2022, I decided that I needed to go to another country. Like, I was done with the United States. I was done with the healthcare system, didn't want to be on medication for the rest of my life. And I was like, you know what? In other countries, their healthcare, I was willing to try it out, and I was willing to go on a more holistic journey. So I started looking into Costa Rica and actually went to San Jose, and it really wasn't it for me. So when I came back, I decided, okay, where else can I go? So Mexico got on my radar. I was actually looking at Playa del Carmen. I was actually looking at Mexico City, and those places weren't it for me. And all of a sudden, Puerto Vallarta got on my radar. And so I said I was going to go there for 3 months and see what it was like. I arrived there September 5th, 2 days into my into getting there. I was like, you know what? I'm living here. So I decided at that point that I was going to live there, and I was there for almost 3 years, got temporary residency there and everything. And then I knew that the heat wasn't good for me because of the lupus. Heat is not really good. It actually makes the symptoms worse. So I decided looking into other places that had more mild weather year round, and that's how I landed in Ecuador. So I've been in Ecuador now 6 months, and moving abroad was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. You hear me? And so there it has been no regrets. If anything, I wish I had left the United States even sooner. So that's my journey to how I got here. And now I'm going to pass it on to Joy.
Kudos to you, Lisa. Kudos to you for doing the research, listening to your spirit, being connected to yourself, to make those big transitions, those
Right.
big transformations. That took a lot of courage. That took a lot of effort. That took a lot of, tuning out a lot of noise because I know how people discourage, and try to, attach, certain stories to your story, and kudos to you for doing what you needed to do for you, you
Thank
know.
you. Thank you.
Hmm.
So let me
Yeah.
ask this before you go further. When you said health wise, exactly what was going on with your doctors in the States that made you go, let me try medicine someplace else in another country?
Oh, that's a great question. So, if I hadn't gotten diagnosed with this condition, I never would have gained the insight that I have today. Right. And what I realize is when you meet with doctors, their objective is not to cure you, their objective is to keep you on medication for the rest of your life and just mask the symptoms. And when you try to mask the symptoms, the medication is going to give you even more issues and cause even more problems, more medical problems. And that's how they get paid. Right. And that's the insight that I got. And I was like, I am not going to be your guinea pig. Okay. The last of it was when I had to have my gallbladder removed in April of 2022. And I was in New York, and I was in New York, I think 3 months prior. Okay. Sick like you wouldn't believe. Went to the emergency room, met with 3 surgeons who knew my gallbladder needed to be removed, and they decided to release me and tell me to follow up with an endocrinologist.
Huh?
And the endocrinologist put me on this medication without even doing an endoscopy. Okay. And I was the illest I've ever been in my life, throwing up every single day, could not keep anything down. Okay. And still throwing up. And so after that, at that point, and when I went back to the emergency room, and this at this point I'm in Florida, they had to do emergency surgery. That's how bad my gallbladder was.
Wow.
Okay. And they said when they pulled my gallbladder out, it was covered in something. And I honestly believe it was that medication that the endocrinologist had prescribed that was doing something to make my condition worse. And at that point, I was like, I'm done with the medical system. And I
Gotcha.
was out.
Gotcha.
Mm.
That's enough.
Right.
That's enough. That's
Right.
enough. Okay. I can understand it for sure. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. When I asked you the question, I had no it was gonna be like that.
Yes. Yes. I don't talk about it. I don't talk about it because when you talk about things, especially negative things, it's like reliving it all over again. And I try
Exactly.
not to put myself there. So my objective is always to keep moving forward, right? And take those lessons. And,
Exactly.
if I need to, I'll share. But
Mhm.
other than that, you know what? The inside is enough.
Exactly. And the bottom line is we're trying to find our inner joy, not
Right,
dwell.
exactly. Exactly. Not relive trauma and negative experiences. Exactly.
All right. Go ahead, Joy, tell your story.
So, I guess around 2011, I made the decision to move back to the DMV area. I was working a lot of jobs in Louisiana trying to, take care of me and my children. And so I spoke with a friend of mine and decided to move back to DC. And happy about the move. Very happy about that decision. This is probably the longest place that I've resided. I know my kids asked me for some stability, and I wanted to give it to them. I am an opportunist, and so I do love to travel. But I did find a lot of opportunities here in DMV. It has been a beautiful journey growing up in my hometown, having my experience and not having to live my dad's stories, of his experience. So being here in the DMV has just brought me a lot of inner joy. Um, moving back to DC, you know, taking my healing journey into my hands, you know, showing my children how to, you know, start their healing journey, you know, how to, you know, take ownership of their vessel, you know, take accountability of their decisions, you know, so, you know, and finding joy within that, you know. So that's my story. I'll
Okay,
send it
so
over to you, Lisa.
the difference between DC and Louisiana.
Mm. Ooh, there's a lot of similarities. The
Okay.
culture, you know, New Orleans has their music, New Orleans has their food, New Orleans has their vibe, New Orleans has their hospitality. You
Mm-hmm.
know, New Orleans was like family to me, so it was a difficult decision because I did love living there. Um, but I was, you know, exhausted. I was wearing myself thin, you know, and I did want to, you know, give my children some more time, some more of me, so that I could train them, so that I can teach them that, hey, this is not what you do. You here and give all your time and energy to, you know, go out here and make this phony money, this funny phony money. You know, it's in reality, this is not what we really came here to do. You know, this is just a system that we're put in right now at this moment, you know. And so, you know, teaching them how to listen to their spirit, how to, you know, be courageous, how to take those steps, how to change, how to, you know, shift gears, you know, how to, you know, just continue to flourish, continue to branch off, continue to, you know, grow, continue to grow, you know, don't diminish, you know. And so, but I wanted to grow with some good roots. And so I knew I could plant my roots here in the DMV area. I knew it would be, you know, beneficial. I knew it was going to be some challenges, you know, but I also knew that it was going to be some victories, you know.
I have a question for you, Joy.
Hmm.
Are there any myths about DC that you would dispel?
Mm.
Because we hear a lot of things about DC.
What are some of the things you hear about DC?
Um, well, there's similarities between DC and New York, is what I've heard.
Okay.
As far as like fast moving, cost of living, um, jobs. Like a lot of you're able to find good jobs in DC. Um, you're able to thrive in DC, right? Those
Those
things.
are those are actual, you know, facts. You know, I will say that um it's not as fast paced as New York.
Fluff.
DC probably has more of a conservative vibe
Yes.
now. You know, I would say that it's, you know, so it's a lot of politicking,
Well,
you know, there's a
yeah,
lot of politicking, you
yeah.
know.
You say it's not Chocolate City anymore.
It's,
Okay.
you know, there where I am, you know, I'm so fortunate to be where I am, you know, and my dad was like, why would you go to Southeast? You know, why would you go to, you know, Congress Heights? And I love it here. I love my neighbors. They love me. You know, we look out for each other. It's a village. It was the tribe that I was looking for, you know, and my experience here, you know, is still Chocolate City. You know, we are trying to continue, you know, what we have going on in the Southeast area. It is flourishing with, you know, Black entrepreneurship. You know, you know, we are really trying to, I see the growth. I'm a part of the community garden. I'm a part of the cohort, you know, it's flourishing. It's flourishing. You know,
What about
we're taking back our city. We're not going to give it up easy. We're not giving it up, and that's why they're going to leave.
what about this one? I heard like the hood is not too far from the White House.
Oh, no, it's not.
Okay.
Wait a minute. When the Strip is not that far from the White House. Okay.
Yeah, it's not too far from the White House. Things have changed. During COVID, I would say, for me, I think COVID was for them to make the city, designed for, I want to say, foreigners. So they put a lot of bike lanes. They closed off a lot of things. They revamped the way the city infrastructure looked during COVID. So when we came back out, we was like, what is going on? So when so you look at all the Uber drivers, you look at everything, everything has, become more immigrants doing these jobs.
Interesting.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
My
So
turn?
Lisa, what's your story?
Well, I've always I'm the black sheep of the family, both sides. I've always jumped around a lot, moved and gone different places. That's just been my whole life. I've never been afraid to try something new, pack up and move on a whim. That's just me. Um, in 2013, I started thinking to myself, wow, Barack Obama is president again, second term. This is wild. And I'm not the type of person that is running to the polls to vote or anything like that because of just who I am and what I believe in, what I don't believe. Um, Grateful for the people who stood and did whatever they did so people could vote and all that. I'm sure that was great in their time. I still don't believe it counts. I believe it's all set up and they put whoever they want, wherever they want. So I thought about it. I said, they allowed Barack Obama to be president a second term. I think after his term, folks are going to act a little crazy. It just didn't feel good in my spirit. And I said, I got to get out of here. And I started thinking about where I would go. And that was 2013. 2015, I got myself together and I said, I'm going to try Puerto Rico. I had been thinking about it for a while. I went down there, checked it out. And then I went back down to try to set up some things so I could do some business down there. Unfortunately, Puerto Rico, all the people are moving out of Puerto Rico. They're moving to the States in droves. And some of the things that I was trying to set up did not happen. And I said, okay, now that's not going to work. What else am I going to do? And then I did what you did, Lisa. I was going to Playa del Carmen, checking it out for a little while. And I was like, I don't know. All that's going on there, as much as I love the beach and everything and would prefer being on the Caribbean, there's so much seaweed there that the beach is terrible. And they only really clean it up during high season. During low season, I've seen pictures of the beach and the seaweed is this deep. And I thought to myself, that's not a good idea either. But I just decided I was going to try something different. I had some friends that I had met in Playa del Carmen who lived in Cancun, and they moved to Puerto Vallarta. And they said, come check it out. And I said, okay, I'll come check it out. And I checked it out and I didn't really like it. But I said, you know what? I'm going to come back and give it a second try. Because as I had done in Playa del Carmen several years. And I came back and I found some areas here in Puerto Vallarta that were really, really nice. Especially down in the country. I really liked it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to move. And that was in January. And I moved that November of 22. And it's one of the best decisions I ever made. I learned a lot about the differences in how people live their lives here. One of the main things that I really enjoyed was people, they interact with you, they make eye contact with you, they speak to you. In the States, You can make eye contact with somebody and say hi to them, and they look at you like, "What are you talking to me for? I don't know who you are." You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. So it was just a good feeling. People here don't have a lot, but they're appreciative of what they do have. It reminds me of I was watching a YouTube video on the hurricane that hit Jamaica, and there were people there who were on vacation who were not able to get out. And if you could have heard them complaining about what was going on after the hurricane, I mean, people lost their homes, their lives, their cars, their loved ones, and everything. And these people are complaining about little ticky-tack stuff like not getting the proper service at their hotel. And it just made me just when you see people who really appreciate things, here you got people who've lost everything, and you got people here worried about the kind of service that they're getting at a hotel after all the, the trauma that people are going through in Jamaica. And it just, I don't know, some people from the United States, a lot of people from the United States just are so unappreciative of the things that they have. And being in a place where people really appreciate the simple things, because it's the simple things that make life joyful to me. And being in a place where people really appreciate the simple things, being in a place where the food is better, less chemicals, things of that nature. I mean, if you claim to care about me and my health, but you don't give me the basics, clean food. And it's like, I just don't have a lot of respect for the United States and what's going on right now. When you sit and you listen to the president talking about he's building a ballroom and people don't have food to eat, and, gold around the president's line, the line of presidents. And it's like, you cut SNAP benefits, but you made a bathroom with all this marble, and it's it's a zoo, it's a jungle, and I'm so happy I'm not a part of it anymore. Get out.
Right.
Get out. I don't know.
I'm glad that you have found a community that spoke to your spirit. I'm glad that, Lisa, you found somewhere where you felt, that you wanted to make home, and that's important in your journey for inner joy, to be at peace with, making the decisions that you made and why you made them, being intentional with why you make those decisions, and so good. We got out of that stuck feeling and gave ourselves a sense of freedom,
It was stressful. It was very stressful.
We don't have to think about those things anymore. We don't have to put ourselves in those situations anymore. We know mentally we can free ourselves. We can take ourselves to another place. And you guys have taken yourselves to another place,
And like you said, Lisa, when you step outside of the United States or the Matrix, right? Your mind is expanded, right? You look at other cultures and see the things, the small things that they're appreciative, and you become appreciative too. It's like it's infectious, right? Just going to the beach. They go to the beach in Mexico. They go to the beach after work.
Yeah, with their clothes on.
Mm-hmm. And just sit to watch the sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Something that simple. I never was attracted to sunsets until I moved abroad.
Lisa shared, why she went to the area that she went to. I think it's Miss Maloya in Mexico. Yeah. And how she saw the boaters, even though they were all out there working, they were all out there helping each other. Like, even though we're all out here trying to feed our family and we're all in the same business, we're going to still look out for each other, exactly. And I thought that was really, her awareness, catching that, her being, in that right energy to see that happening around her, that made her feel like, you know what, I want to be a part of this community.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's
that
like,
Lisa was like, Joy, I'm about to buy a boat. I'm about to have these cruises going. I'm about to, you
oh
know,
man,
and I was like, go for it, Lisa, do it. You know,
I watched them, and I was like, they're all in competition with each other, but they all help each other.
yeah,
They when they bring a family in that have taken a ride, or how many ever boaters that they have on their ride, they'll drop the family off, and then they'll take their boat back out. If they don't have a boat to take anybody else to go out, they'll take their boat back out and put the weight down so that the boat is not dragging all over. And then the next person that's coming in will see them getting ready to get out their boat, and we'll let them hop on their boat. And they'll bring them in so they don't have to get wet. You know what I mean? I just watched, and some of the people that they want to pull their boat in and put it in the river, and they might have to go over some sand to get there, and everybody will they'll just run together. All of them will run when they see the boat coming in and get on the sand, and then they'll push the boat across the sand to the lake. I mean, to the river. Everybody, even the little kids. And I'm watching this and I'm
yeah,
going, you know what
yeah,
I mean? This is community. You know what I mean? And nobody's asking anybody, oh, I helped you. Can I get $5? Or can I?
Right.
No, it's just it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
you
And
know, it's their way. You know, we have a way about us here in DC, like you said. It's fast paced, it's smooth talking, you got to put it on. You even got to put on the brands. You know what I'm saying? When you step out here, a lot of times, you got to really show out in order for a lot of people to respect you. So when you see that happening and that level of respect in the community, how they have come together and they know that they're connected some form of fashion, and how we have become so disconnected with each other, but it's like, Joy, here, you're here to connect them, and so I feel that that's a part of my journey, to show people that, hey, yeah, I can put it on, but we don't have to.
Right. Right. And it's the same way in New York. If you don't look, if you don't look nice from your head to your toe, oh my goodness, it's like you're an outcast. So it definitely shows you that there is a caste system, whether it's said or not, um, you know, living in that sort of culture. And
mm,
also it brings light to that crab in the barrel mentality of like, you know, they'll step on your head to get the next dollar if they have to, you
yeah,
know. And that's how it was growing up in the Bronx.
Yeah,
Totally. Totally.
yeah,
So
yeah.
if this conversation is giving you any clarity at all, hit the subscribe button right now. We're building a community of people who are done with surviving and who are ready to live. We've got new episodes every week. Let's grow together. Come on.
Yeah,
It's
well,
it's a crazy world out here, you know what I mean? And the bottom line is, um, you can be in it but not be a part of it. Um, a lot of times it can bring you a lot of stress, and you've got to understand that what you can handle and what you cannot handle, or what you don't want to handle anymore. You know what I mean? And take your time. Um, listen to your body. Okay. A lot of times we're in our heads, but listen to your body. Your body will tell you how you're really doing and how you're really feeling. And make your decisions for whatever you choose based on what's going to make you happy. Because we didn't come here to just survive. We came here to thrive. And we've gotten stuck in this survival mode and this class mode, and trying to keeping up with the Joneses and all that. And what really makes you happy on the inside? What makes your heart beat faster? You know what I mean? What makes you really happy? And I look at all the different things that I had that I gave up and that I no longer have, and it was like I didn't really need any of that stuff anyway. You know what I mean? And you just have to decide what's important to you. And my happiness, my peace of mind, you know what I mean, is the most important thing to me. And, you know, I still hear some of the things that go on there and keep abreast of a few of the things that go on there. But I really don't, I feel bad and everything, but I really don't want to hear it. That's why I'm gone, because it's too much. It's like a clown show. It's like, I'm in the Gil Scott Heron. It ain't really your life. It's nothing but a movie. You know what I mean? Because we're all human. We all bleed the same blood. And for all the hate that's going on and people that are not in touch with themselves, just being fed information, lies, and they believe it, and they're damaging themselves. Nobody but themselves. And it's scary that people are really uneducated, and it's just amazing to me. Um, Stupid. You can't call it anything else but dumb. You know what I'm saying? Just how could you just vote against
Well,
your own? You
well, we have to learn that we were trained to go against our own spirit. We were trained to go against our own, thoughts. And this is why we came out with this InnerJoy podcast, for
exactly,
you to tap into your inner joy, right? Because
exactly,
it's still something inside of you that makes you happy, that makes you feel good. We've been so, you know, programmed to live outside of ourselves, to forget who we are, to forget, why we really came here, what our purpose is, because we have so many gifts. We are limitless, so those around us that manipulated that knew exactly who we were, and it's just time for us to come back to who we are. It's time for us to come back to our inner peace.
exactly,
It's time.
Yeah.
exactly. And then
And
Okay.
to understand one other thing, though, all of this on the other level, when I look at it from take it out of my heart and understand what's really going on, is these things have to happen, because this is what happens when a cleansing is upon us.
mhm.
These things have to happen because the world can't continue to go on the way it is. You know what I mean? The universe does not belong to man. Okay? Man belongs to the universe, and the universe has to cleanse itself.
Mhm.
And this is the period that we're in now. So I understand that, but I don't want to be a part of that craziness. I don't
Well, we
care
we are we
watching
this
this.
this is we all came here to experience the chaos.
Yes.
We
Right,
came
yeah,
here to
we chose
we
to be
came here
here.
to we came here to experience the love.
Hmm.
We came here to experience the jealousy. We came here to experience the anger, and we came here to experience it so that we know how to take it in. And when we take it in, we know what we need to be putting out. The first time we may not put it out correctly. We may put, it out in a way that we have to grow from. We're learning. We're coming to learn all of these energies have to work in harmony with each other. And
Mhm.
you have to work in harmony with yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and once you start to tap in, the enlightenment, you see things for exactly what they are. Once I left the United States, oh my goodness, the downloads, oh my goodness. I can't begin to tell you. And I realized that there is no such thing as a coincidence. There is no such thing as a coincidence. When you think you met this person, oh wow, it's a coincidence. Oh, this, that. No, there's no such thing, right? You're on a certain path, right? And if you pay attention, you will see things exactly for what they are, right? Every person that came into your life, every person that left your life, every opportunity that didn't work out, every opportunity that did work out, it's all for a reason.
And we got to step back and try to figure out what that is and learn that lesson so that we can move on and find our inner joy.
Right.
and maintain our inner joy.
All right. Thank you for joining us this week. We hope you join us for next week. What is the topics for next week, ladies? Let me see here.
Next week, we're going to be continuing to talk about why we left, why we made the decisions that we made. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about the pandemic and how things shifted. You know, the mindset shifted as a result of the pandemic, and the also looking at the possibilities that came from the pandemic.
All right.
All right. Well,
See you next week.
See you next week.
and enjoy the rest of your day.